Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Gentoo, your source for all things gaming and tech related. I'm Dalton Spees.
And I'm Quinn. Let's get right into this week's up and coming releases. You can see these games and many more released throughout the month on your favorite platforms.
This week we've got the release of a new Darksiders game as well as a remaster for everyone's favorite Japanese gangsters.
Darksiders Genesis releases for PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on February 14th. Swap between the powerful swordsman, war, and strife instantly in frenetic single-player gameplay, and also explore the epic world of Darksiders and wreak havoc with a friend in two-player cooperative mode in online or local play.
Who doesn't love wreaking havoc with a friend?
Best.
Best Friend Forever releases for the PC and Switch on February 14th, right in time for Valentine's Day.
Aww.
Best Friend Forever is a dating and pet care simulation. We've all seen the cliche where somebody uses a cute dog to get a date in movies, so why not do it in a video game? Fall in love with a diverse cast of local singles while also spending quality time with your new four-legged friend.
Yakuza 5 releases as part of the Yakuza Remastered Collection for the PS4 on February 11th. Yakuza 5 is finally in the West for those Americans who have enjoyed the Yakuza games that have been localized already. Play tons of different mini-games and also take on enemies and dance battles in this crazy adventure.
I love a good dance battle.
That is the best.
These games and many more will be releasing throughout the month, so be sure to be on the lookout for them.
Up next, check out Wireside with me, Quinn.
This is him. It's Quinn. It's me. He's right here.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Wireside with me, your host, Quinn. Now and then, I like to think back to the good old days. The days when I was free from homework and I could sit down with a good video game for hours on end and no one and nothing interrupted me. Those days are long gone. But even though I miss those wonder years, I still have my memories, and there's always one thing that sticks out to me most when I think back to my days of endless gaming. Today I want to share with you the joy of my childhood. Let's have a chat about Star Wars games. The number of Star Wars games that you can play is ridiculous. The franchise has inspired games on all manner of platforms, from handheld systems to classic consoles and browser titles to mobile games. No matter what kind of hardware you have available to you, you can probably find a Star Wars game to boot up. There are so many games out there that I couldn't sit and talk about all of them even if I wanted to. However, I can tell you about the classics from LucasArts that made my younger years so great. Star Wars Battlefront 2004 and Star Wars Battlefront 2 from 2005 have a special place in my heart as they were essentially my introduction to video games. These were two of the first games that I ever got my hands on and the first two titles that I purchased after I got my first console, the PlayStation 2. Both games had good things to offer, but I think we all know which of the two was better. I mean, who wouldn't want the ability to play as a Jedi or a Sith? I sunk hours into both of these games, living out my Star Wars fantasy battles, and I loved every second of it. I can't talk about old Star Wars games without at least briefly bringing up some of the recent activity that we've seen in the franchise. While 2015's Star Wars Battlefront looked great, its gameplay and lack of content at release was a letdown. 2017's Star Wars Battlefront 2 had more content, including a full campaign, which was great to see, but the story we got was somewhat predictable, and the microtransaction mess that plagued its initial release reduced the title's potential for big success drastically. Both of these games and EA's cancellation of more recent narrative-driven projects like the title from EA Vancouver have lowered my opinion of Star Wars games over the past few years, and that's a big letdown. However, hope may not be totally lost. The recent Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was everything that I could have hoped it to be. The exploration and combat systems were refreshing in the sea of Star Wars games, and the story of Cal Kestis and his crew was more satisfying than I could have hoped for. Lately, rumor has been going around on the internet that a new Star Wars game may be coming before April 2022 that is said to be very unique. Though the wait may be long, I can only hope for the best if and when we get the next installment in the long line of Star Wars video games. Thanks for chatting. Till next time.
Some will wish to harm us. Some will wish to destroy all that we have built here together. Some will betray us.
We don't know what he's capable of. Their leader.
Joseph Seed.
They call him the Father.
Joseph Seed, the self-proclaimed prophet and shepherd of God, is the leader of a terroristic cult of religious doomsday preppers called Eden's Gate, started by Seed in his hometown of Rome, Georgia. Seed led his band of ultra-violent disciples to Hope County, Montana, where he took complete control over the entire county. Seed says that he was chosen by God himself and also was told of the soon-coming end of the world, and it is his goal to lead and protect his followers from the apocalypse. After years of brainwashing and recruiting followers to join his cause with the use of a drug called Bliss, he had become a very powerful, psychotic, and violent leader. However, he shows mercy towards the deputy on several occasions after he had killed Seed's entire family. He also shows some empathy at times, as well as lots of loving care towards the members of Eden's Gate. He holds his, quote, brothers and sisters very closely and is devastated when they are taken out by law enforcement.
Another seal has been opened. My family, my brothers, my sisters, they've been taken from me!
Joseph Seed is a very caring and supportive leader towards his followers, but he is also a very dark and twisted psychopath that hates modern society and with the help of Jacob, John, and Faith Seed has no problem killing and torturing to get what he wants. He believes that the world is corrupt and is heading down a path of destruction and thinks that he is the only one that can see it. He is aware that everyone thinks he is crazy, but he stays loyal to the voice of God in his head and continues to lead Eden's Gate. According to the book of Joseph, Joseph first heard the voice of God speak to him while he was being brutally beaten by his father for reading a Spider-Man comic book. He was separated from his abusive family, then bounced from foster home to foster home, listening to the voice of God to guide him. Joseph once had a wife and a daughter that were in some kind of accident that ended up killing the wife and severely injuring his infant child. While in the hospital room with his child, God told him about the end of the world and to start Eden's Gate. He then pinched the tube that was breathing for his daughter, shutting off her life support, killing her, just to prove his loyalty to God. Joseph Seed just sounds like a smooth-talking, delusional Bible thumper in most of his speeches, but he may actually have some sort of gift or power that is proven by the detonation of several nuclear explosions predicted by Seed in his preachings. Joseph Seed is one of very few video game bosses to come out on top in the end. He stuck with his beliefs and stayed true to his cause no matter how evil, and I think that makes him one of the biggest and the baddest.
And together we will march to Eden's Gate.
Welcome to episode 2 of Expectation vs. Reality. This week we talk about Forza Horizon, the ultimate free roam racing experience. The Forza Horizon series is an open world extravaganza filled with all kinds of opportunities for racing, doing awesome stunts, and going head to head, along with all the free roaming fast-paced action you could ask for. From Colorado to southern France and northern Italy to southern Australia and the latest installment, Forza Horizon 4, which takes place in Great Britain, Forza Horizon is your one-stop shop for all things high-speed racing. It is a beautifully designed game and the graphics truly make it feel as if you're really driving in those places. For me personally, my favorite places would have to be the country hills and valleys in France and driving on the beachfronts in southern Australia. My favorite vehicle in the Forza Horizon series is the Hummer. I love just being able to hog the road, and who can't love a cool mint black? I also enjoy the ability to drive whichever supercar I want and go 300 miles per hour without leaving the couch in my living room. In Forza Horizon, it's all about being whatever kind of racer you want to be. Are you the flashy kind that does all the stunts, or a pro drifter, or even the super serious, determined racer whose goal is to have the highest drift score, skill chain, and take first place? Forza Horizon allows you to test the limits in the world of racing. If you want to drive on the train tracks and see if your car can stand up with the brunt force of a coal-powered train, by all means, do it. If you want crazy jumps, stunts, and amazing cool cars and awesome paint jobs, then this is the game for you. Oh, by the way, did I mention, if you're looking to drive through a vineyard and sample the grapes they use in France to make wine, you can do that too. Now, obviously, we can never have all of Forza Horizon in our reality because that would be insane, but there are a lot of similarities between Forza and our own world. First of all, racing does exist in our reality. It is fast-paced, and there are all different kinds, from drag racing to IndyCar to funny car racing and the beloved NASCAR, which also includes so many more different types of racing. We also see crashes, explosions, destroyed cars, and sometimes even today we're still amazed at what some vehicles and drivers can do when you put them on the track. As far as I know, how real Forza Horizon really is, it isn't a game that I could say is super lifelike. However, it is still pretty amazing. That's going to do it for this week here on Expectation versus Reality. Thanks so much for joining me. Make sure to check out Forza Horizon and all the other Forza Horizon games. If you want that fun, lifelike racer game, then it's the game for you. I only have one question. What kind of racer will you be?
Welcome to Spooks or Goofs, where I play scary games to see if they're actually worth the hype or if they're just a bunch of clowns.
Quit clowning around and freeze!
I'm playing a game called Layers of Fear where you play as a deranged painter trying to complete his magnum opus in an ever-changing mansion. You know, as long as a scary game doesn't have spiders, it can't do anything to me. Nothing scares me, except spiders. And whatever that was. You walk down a lot of hallways in this. Kind of seems like your guy's limping now. I don't think I was limping earlier. Oh my gosh. That was pretty scary. I'll tell you what, that was pretty scary. Oh look, a little version of it. Just in case you didn't see it. It's just Paddington. I got some marmalade for you, my friend. The number of dolls is increasing tremendously. I need to get out of here. I mean, what's gonna happen? Another long hallway. Whoa. It is now 4:43. I just spent the last 2.5 hours playing Layers of Fear. Besides jump scares, this game really didn't have a lot going for it. It was kind of cool at first, but I opened 60,000 doors, walked down long hallway after long hallway. I give it 2.5 stick figures out of 5. You know. Thanks for watching KNWT Channel 8. This has been Gentoo. Catch us next week.
People used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Welcome back to another episode of COD Reviews with your host, Charles Stepino. Last week we dove into Call of Duty 4, so I thought what better way to pick back up with the sequel, Modern Warfare 2. First off, I just want to touch base on quite possibly the most controversial missions of all time, No Russian. If you didn't already know, No Russian is a mission in the campaign where you basically murder hundreds of civilians in an airport. I didn't know what I was in for when the mission loaded, despite the numerous warnings, and the game even allowed you to skip the mission as a whole without any penalization. The graphic mission is the epitome of the rest of the campaign and is most likely why I've played the campaign 4 times over. Now don't get me wrong, the campaign is awesome, but the multiplayer experience was just unmatched for me. It brought so many new features that we hadn't seen in Call of Duty 4, and is honestly my favorite multiplayer game still today. I remember
I remember getting home from school and just loading up MW2, getting in lobbies with my friends, and just going for nukes. With other games, I got burnt out fast with playing public match, but there was so many different things I had fun doing on this game. The game chat experience was one of a kind too. The toxicity of the public match lobbies was just unmatched. If you know, you know. Personally, my favorite aspect of multiplayer was sniping, specifically trickshotting and quickscoping. There was a point in time where I was competitively sniping and trickshotting for a clan. I remember putting in hours a day just grinding in private match with my friends going for trick shots. I think that's where Infinity Ward allowed their players to stretch their creativity and make up new shots and even find spots on maps that nobody else had tried. Lastly, the maps. Every single map on that game was just complete as a whole. Even today, I think MW2 has the best selection of maps out of any Call of Duty, my favorite being High Rise. I truly believe that this game was ahead of its time, and I'm appreciative to have played it in its peak. Thanks for watching, and tune in next week as I dive into the last game of the Modern Warfare trilogy, MW3.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of Project Delta. Once again, I'm your host Dalton Speece, and with me this week is
Keegan Cooper.
And as I'm sure many people know, this Friday it's Valentine's Day. So I wanted to bring in a game from last year that I just fell in love with. And as you can see, we're playing some Borderlands 3. We did talk about it a little bit last year. Me and Quinn brought in some Borderlands 2 and talked about it, but now me and Keegan have both had a chance to really get our hands on it, and so now we're ready to fully give it the talking about that it deserves. So Keegan, I'll ask by asking you, as our resident Borderlands expert, what do you think about this game so far?
So when I first initially, you heard the announcement and then started to watch trailers and then finally started to play the game, I was so impressed on how they were able to continue the love from Borderlands 2 and pre-sequel and even the first Borderlands.
Of course.
Just that shoot and loot style.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is pretty awesome, pretty amazing, Borderlands 3, and I can't wait to see where they go with DLCs and the expansions with stuff like that, and just to see what they add.
Of course.
See the new things that they're going to bring to the table. I think that just how it feels, just the gameplay is a little bit more smooth, I think, when you're moving around, when you're jumping, sliding, shooting enemies, all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely, I love, Borderlands 3. I think it's a great game.
And myself, I've honestly really enjoyed this game. I bought it maybe a week or two before Christmas break, and it was pretty much the only game I played over break. I grinded all the way to level 50, and right now I'm very slowly working my way through all the crew challenges, which is where you gotta find the dead clap traps that are all over the place. You gotta look for Typhon to Leon's logs. He's the first vault hunter, so he's got a whole bunch of different little logs that you can go and find and listen to, where he talks about his travels, and then he leaves some treasure for you once you find all of them.
Yeah, and you love to see Borderlands and Gearbox adding something new like
level
that.
2, baby.
Yeah, level 2.
Give me that achievement.
Only 48 left to go. But you love to see them adding something like that, something new that even if you're not playing a story or doing side missions, like just something, between, the dead claptrats, the Typhon logs.
Yeah, just something extra. There's always those fans, those players who can't get enough. So it's more stuff for them to do on top of shooting and looting. They can go looking and cooking.
And it adds to the kind of the story and gives you this idea of, okay, what is the Borderlands universe? And
of course.
The story of Typhon de Leon and being the first vault hunter and what vaults really are.
And the story of Claptrap trying to build himself a friend because nobody else wants to be his friend.
Nobody likes Claptrap ever.
Gee, I wonder why.
I mean, it's Claptrap. He's this annoying robot that's, in the game. It's crazy to see.
Okay, we need to search the area for a shield. We're looking for a shield.
We need a shield. I know where it
but
is.
So now I'm not usually the kind of person, especially in Borderlands, to grind really hard. But I understand you have really been grinding hard, killing a bunch of bosses in order to get the weapons you need, and you've got, I think, every character maxed out. So what is that like for you, and what kind of how rewarding is that for you? Where are you at? Let me get one of those shields, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I'll let you get one. It is amazing, I honestly think. It's people are like, why do you grind it? And I'm like, I grind it because I love it. Like, I don't know. For me, every time I played the game, it was different.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I played the new character, it was different. I dropped a shield for you right here.
I think it automatically gave it to me.
Oh,
so
shoot.
It was
nice.
really kind.
That co-op kind.
Yeah, that co-op. Very
but
nice.
every time you play through, it's different. Every time you log on, you don't always have to go fight the same boss.
Mm-hmm.
And what I also love is each character is so well built, and when you look at their skill trees, it's
just
not
like that guy's arm and not his other arm.
Yeah. Brought a knife to a gunfight. Each character is so well built that you don't ever get tired of, okay, I got to max level and I have the same skill tree, same abilities. You can always flip around and change abilities or completely restart a character, respect your skill points and build somebody new. People, are like, oh, there's only a limited amount of builds. And I'm like, no, there's so many builds that, I haven't even begun to touch or begin to think about,
Yeah, that's like, I know me, personally, I started out as Beastmaster, and the first skill tree I went down was the one with the rack attack, where you throw firebirds at your enemies, and they do quite a bit of damage. But then later on, I found out that I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one where you phase an invisibility, and while you're phased, you do every shot is critical and it does extra damage. And so I found out that using that tree, I can just go invisible and just shoot a guy a whole lot, and they die a lot faster than if I was just throwing birds at them. So just really experimenting and kind of using the different tools that they give you to increase your enjoyment of the game it's really what it's all about. So are there any kind of builds that you've tried or characters that you really just love playing, especially since you've played all of them?
Honestly, I think it's my first character. I played as Zane. And I went with this cryo build. I loved cryo damage in some of the Borderlands pre-sequel and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I knew that there was a cryo build and I got this legendary class mod, I was like, this is what I'm going to go with. So probably Zane, just because he was my first character and he was my first playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, playing as Beastmaster is also really cool. Just to be able to have so many different abilities and ways to go through that. Probably my top two. It's not that I'm not a fan of the Siren or Gunner, but you see a lot of people play Siren. Oh,
this woman looks familiar. I think I've seen her before.
Yeah, there she is, folks. The Fire Hawk.
Good old Lilith. She's back
Lilith,
for more. She's back for more.
Gotta love Lilith.
She's her friends are slowly fading away, but she is still here. Still just killing it.
She's still doing her duty. But yeah, I would definitely have to say Zane, cryo build, is the way to go for me. It does massive amount of damage. You're going to be able to move around and kind of help everybody out.
It's all about that damage.
It is.
It's all about talking to Lilith right now, actually.
Yeah, it is.
And so I myself, I've not purchased the season pass for this game, but I want to know if you played any of the DLC yet, and was it any good?
So yeah, I actually played the first DLC that came out, which is Miss Moxie's Heist. Where it actually takes you through it, and you're gonna, Handsome Jack has been killed, so you're gonna rob now the casino that he has in space.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first heard about it, I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about this, to be completely honest. I wasn't too excited for it. And then I played it, and I went through the DLC, and it was cool to see like the addition of some characters come back from Tales of the Borderlands, and some characters that you didn't get in Borderlands 3, the main story. But my overall was I wasn't too impressed with it. I mean, you've got a lot of different weapons, a lot of different new places to explore, more Typhon logs to go find. But the first DLC for me, I wasn't super impressed. It wasn't. Going back again to, previous DLCs in Borderlands games, but it wasn't, Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep, or it wasn't Marcus, Mercenary Day. It wasn't anything like that.
Which that DLC in Borderlands 2 is going to be hard to live up to because, man, okay, so I got, I think the Handsome Jack collection, and that comes with like all the Borderlands 2 DLC. And I just never touched it, and up until the months like leading up to Borderlands 2, I was like, you know what, I might as well play it. And that DLC was great.
Yeah, I mean, where else can you find
the
D&D?
Assault on the Keep? Amazing, because it was full of like D&D references and like World of Warcraft stuff, which is like that's right up my alley. That's the kind of stuff I like. So it was really cool to have them all in that like place, all playing D&D like that, and also just like having Tiny Tina come up to the realization of like Roland being gone. But that's going to do it actually for us this week. Thank you, Keegan, so much for coming on and spitting all that Borderlands knowledge. And I want to thank all of you for coming and watching. We'll see you next week on Project Delta.